guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how I highlight and contour my skin. Being darker, I find it quite difficult to contour my skin simply because like bronzers that they sell are made for fair people, so like the Hoola bronzer and the NARS Laguna bronzer, which are widely raved here on YouTube, are pretty much my skin colour and just act like a normal powder for me. So I've done some digging, and if you guys watched like past videos, you'll know that I've been buying a lot of products to try and practice highlighting and contouring my skin, and I'm quite happy with what I'm doing at the moment. I'm still working on it, but I thought I would show you guys how I highlight and contour so that, I don't know if anyone else out there, my skin colour, is kind of wondering how to go about it. This would be a good starting point. It's where I'm starting and I quite like the finish it gives. So I'm pretty much just going to do my base, my complexion, full routine, and highlight and contour quite aggressively so that you can see how I do it. So to start off, I apply a primer. Today I'm going to be using the Smashbox Dark Spot Correcting Photo Finish Primer, and just apply that all over my skin. So the next step for me is a liquid foundation. Again, this changes depending on my mood, but today I'm going to be using the Makeup Store Matte Foundation, and I'm in the shade Sand. So the next step for me is to use a skin coloured concealer, so something that matches my foundation colour on dark spots, just to cover them up. And I will be using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Caramel. Next, I'm going to highlight underneath my eyes because I have incredibly dark circles, and to start off I'm going to go in with a Bobbi Brown corrector, and this is in Dark Peach. It looks like this. That's it there. And I'm just going to apply this underneath my eyes, not in the triangle shape or anything, just right underneath my eyes, just to correct my darkness. So I'm not really going past my orbital bone here, so just staying in this little semicircle area right here underneath my eye. So by correcting it just helps to kind of lift this area and not make it look so dull. So next, to actually lighten that area, I apply a concealer that's too light for my skin. These are both from MAC. They're in the shade NW30. So the reason they are NW30 is because you want to use a cool tone underneath your eyes. Something about it just looks normal, it doesn't look really weird, because I originally had a concealer that was like NC something lighter and it just looked really odd. So you want to go for a cool tone concealer for underneath your eyes and just to highlight in general. I have the Pro Longwear one and the Studio Finish concealer. So today I'm going to be using the Studio Finish concealer from MAC in the shade NW30. Going in with the same brush I've been using for concealer this whole time. You can use your fingers for this. I just like to use a brush because I feel like I have a bit more control over where the product goes. And then you just want to blend this out. Don't be afraid to go all the way up here. So that is how I highlight. Underneath my eyes. Next I'm just going to take a little bit extra on the brush and just apply it in a upside down triangle between my eyebrows. So just here. I'm not applying too much because when my hair is back I have a huge forehead, so I don't want to highlight my huge forehead too much, but I want to highlight around my eyes. So Just applying the smallest amount of this light concealer up here will just help kind of highlight that area. And then you can apply a little bit down your nose if you like. I'm not going to go too crazy there. A little bit on the Cupid's bow and just on your chin. So just be sure to blend everything out so that it doesn't really stand out too much. So you can use a translucent powder to set your highlight. However, I'm just going to use a powder that's a little bit too light for my skin again. This is from MAC. It's their Mineralize Skinfinish Natural in the shade Medium Dark. I am usually medium deep. This is a shade up, a shade lighter. And I'm just going to use this Real Technique setting brush because it's small and precise, just to set the highlighted areas. I actually picked this technique up from Lauren Curtis. She does it with obviously lighter products, but it's essentially the same concept, just with darker products. And don't forget to highlight down the center of your face where you applied the light concealer. So to set the rest of my foundation, I'm going to go in with a translucent powder. Now the reason I use a translucent one is because I'm worried that if I use one that is my skin color and I do get it up in my highlighted area, it could just get a little bit messy and ruin the highlighted section. So I'm just going to use a translucent one just to reduce shine and not really add any extra coverage. Because then I'm not worried, if I go over here, I want to get the rest of my lip and stuff, it's okay, it won't ruin the highlight, so yeah. And right now my face looks a lot lighter than my body. I swear it's just the lighting. I think I look pretty normal, but I'm about to contour, so that will kind of even things out a bit anyway. Okay, so let's move on to contouring, because I found this a lot harder to achieve than highlighting because I didn't know how dark to go with the product and which undertone to use and all of that. So again, I've used cool undertones. I'll show you guys the products that I use to bronze / contour. So apologies, pretty much all the products I'm using are from MAC. They just have the things I need. They go dark enough, they don't exactly cater for people with my skin, but they do to a certain extent. So I have a few products here that I use to bronze up and contour. So one that you guys would have seen a lot is my MAC bronzing powder, and this is in the shade Matte Bronze, and it's just a little bit darker than my skin, so it's just lovely for that overall glowy sun-kissed skin look. And then I have a blush in the shade Harmony. This is a matte blush, and I think it's actually for very fair people to use to contour because most bronzers look a bit odd on them, so this is actually for them, but it works quite well for dark skin as well. He put it on me and I was thoroughly impressed. I was like, wow, I didn't think it would really come up on me at all, because it's you wouldn't think it would do anything, but I will show you guys because I will be using this one soon. And lastly, just grabbing a powder that's darker than your natural shade. So this is a Studio Fix powder from MAC, and it's in the shade NW58, which I think is the darkest they go. You can see it's incredibly dark, and that's for your really intense contour. So I'll use the Harmony blush and the Studio Fix powder in NW58 to show you guys how I contour. That's not to say I don't use a bronzing powder. I use that when I'm lazy because you can't really go wrong with that one, but this one will give me a really intense contour. So I start off using MAC Harmony blush just because this is it's a softer contour compared to the really dark one, which you'll definitely be able to see. So just grab a bit of that on a small angled brush and tap off the excess. It's a MAC 168 in case you guys are wondering. And then just kind of, I don't know, how you guys see other gurus do it, but just with this blush instead. So I'm just going to start up here next to the top of my ear and run this product down a little bit. I'm not going too far because, I don't know, I'm not going too far just because I don't want to go too intense with this one. I'll go more intense with the dark powder foundation. This is just kind of laying down the base work so you know where to contour later on. And then just take it up to your temples, and I like to run it down. Apply the contour to anything that you want to recede, so you don't want people to see, so double chins, you don't want to see this fat cheek or a big forehead like what I have right now. So you just use this to contour so you guys can see this side and the difference here. So this side is looking a lot more defined compared to this side, which just looks really flat right now. So I'll do this side and I'll get back with you guys. So that's it for MAC Harmony Blush. You can stop here if you like. However, I'm going to go further with the dark powder foundation to show you guys how you can really intensify this contour. So I'm going to keep a hold of this brush because this brush will come in handy in case you go a little bit wrong with the dark shade. You can use this just to kind of buff it out. So I'll keep that next to me. So with NW58 Studio Fix powder, what I do, I took out the sponge and I put in this little like thin brush. I'll show you guys, it's like here. So it's just really thin, you know, just to, I actually took this out of a Burberry blush powder that I have, so I don't know, any thin brush, or like I know a lot of girls will get like a brush like this one and just pinch it so that it's like thin. But I had this one laying around. I don't usually use your brushes, but I had this one laying around, so yeah. So I'm just grabbing a little bit, tapping off the excess definitely, because less is more when it comes to contouring. And I'm just going to like chisel out where I want to intensify the contour, so right there. And this is a really good like way to kind of make sure everything's even. So, you know, I look at this side and then I think, okay, so I probably want this to go here. That looks pretty even. And then just apply a little bit up here, so and I definitely want to recede this a little bit more, so just pop some product down there. And just underneath on my little double chin that sometimes likes to pop out. So now you shouldn't really need any much more of this product. I'm just going to use a MAC 109, which is just a small contour brush. Anything small and fluffy that can help buff out the contour will help. And I'm just going to blend this into my skin. So you want to blend up. So how do I like to do this? So you want to kind of place the base of the brush on the colour and place the rest above the colour and then buff upward in little circular motions. If you buff down, then it will make it look like your cheek is here and then you have like a big like cavernous part of your skin, like your whole skin is like sunk in. So you want to buff upward until it looks quite natural. So on camera it looks quite intense. In person you can hardly tell that there's anything there. So up here is a bit more easier, you don't have to really worry, you just want to recede. And then down here you want to buff downward because you want to like accentuate where your face finishes and where your neck starts. So like buffing downward. Because if you brought it up onto your face that would just look really weird. Now I know a lot of people also contour down their nose. I don't, but for the sake of this video I will show you guys how I would go about it if I guess I wanted to. My nose is quite round, so I guess I would want to make it pointier maybe. Again, just grabbing like that little brush, you just want to run it. So you want to run it, so your brow bone is here, right? Like everyone highlights here. You want to follow that line, it goes down, around. You can feel it in here just next to your inner corner. So you never pass your inner corner here, right? So it's just next to there. You can kind of feel the bone that just runs down the side of your nose. Because this is all like squishy, but this isn't as squishy. So you just want to follow that line. You can use a smaller brush if you like, but I'm just going to use the tip of this brush just to apply some of this product here. And you want to make sure that you follow it all the way down, like into this middle part between your two nostrils. Like that. This takes like the smallest amount of product, so do not use too much. And then you probably just want to put a little bit here as well, so that this really stands out. And then I'm just going to use a little like fluffy brush, so it's kind of just like a smaller version of the one I used on my face, just to buff this out. And again, since I highlighted here, you don't want to bring the contour over that way, you want to bring it outward. But obviously, ideally, you just want to keep it in the same spot and just buff the product out. Kind of feel like I look like Simba, like I look like a lion right now. Wonder if that's where the contouring phase came from, when they started The Lion King and they were putting all of this on people. I really don't like the way my nose looks when it's contoured. It looks so odd, because I'm not used to having like this pointy nose. I'm used to having like my Fijian like round. People say I have a button nose. So, okay, that looks pretty good in person, but looks really intense on camera. I don't want you guys to be like, that's so intense, I can see all the lines. That is so, it's like a fake nose job, it's weirding me out. So that is how I would contour my nose if I really wanted to. And that's pretty much it. I mean, for contouring I use a blush and then a darker shade of foundation, and to highlight I use a lighter shade of concealer. That's pretty much the concept. And oh my god, this looks so intense right now, but I swear it's not in person. It is not this intense in person. So that's how you can highlight and contour dark skin tones. By darker skin tones, I obviously base all of this off me. So I am Fijian Indian, so it's good for Indians, it's good for browns. Yeah. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments below if it was helpful. If you guys try this, make sure you take a photo, Instagram it, whatever, tag me so I can see how you guys are going with it, because I know I struggled a lot with this and I struggled to find people to help because people just didn't know how to contour my skin. I remember I went to MAC and I was like, oh, you know, can you show me how to highlight? She was like, yeah, and instead of like highlighting like this, you know, triangle of illumination, she did the highlight up here, and I was like, that's, like, really, like, I'm the noob and you're supposed to be a professional, like, you should know to be like, oh, do you mean highlight, like, your cheekbones, or highlight, like, Kim Kardashian, or highlight what? So, I found it really hard to find help, but in the end, I just kind of followed the lighter, like, Aussie gurus that are out there, and Lauren Curtis was a big help because of just her techniques, so I learnt from her and just kind of tried to apply it to my skin tone. My face looks really skinny right now. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.